What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. As you can see in the thumbnail, as you can see in the title, as you can see everywhere on social media right now, we have indeed some breaking news, and I think it's actually appropriate for one of the first times ever that I actually press the breaking news button.
Breaking news.
There had been rumblings in literally just the last few minutes alone that Erik ten Hag was going to be sacked, or at least there were discussions about Erik ten Hag being sacked by Manchester United. The club have now confirmed this is not up for discussion, this is not up for speculation, this is not up for debate. Erik ten Hag is no longer the manager of Manchester United. In just the last 3 minutes alone, Manchester United at 11:50 a.m. Monday the 28th of October 2024, they released a very, very short club statement which says, and I quote, Erik ten Hag has left his role as Manchester United men's first team manager. Erik was appointed in April 2022 and led the club to 2 domestic trophies, winning the Carabao Cup in 2023 and the FA Cup in 2024. We are grateful to Erik for everything he has done during his time with us, and we wish him well for the future. As for next steps, well, Manchester United lay out very, very shortly what these next steps are. They say, quote, Ruud van Nistelrooy will take charge of the team as interim head coach, supported by the current coaching team, whilst a permanent head coach is recruited. So as of right now, for Wednesday, possibly for the weekend against Chelsea, Ruud van Nistelrooy will be the interim head coach. As for how long he's going to be interim for, we don't know. It looks like Manchester United are looking for a permanent head coach, I guess, to be coming in right now. We'll see what people are saying here on social media. But if you are just joining us, indeed, just 116 days after Ineos triggered the 1-year extension in Erik ten Hag's contract, they have sacked him. He is now gone. And it was inevitable. It was inevitable. We'll get Flex on the phone. We'll get KG on the phone. We'll get everyone involved. Get your comments in. Get your thoughts in. We'll get them up on the screen. Just very quickly, for me, as I said, the only surprising element for me is that it's happened today. I genuinely thought it was going to happen after the Chelsea game. I thought it was going to happen after the Chelsea game. But frankly, it should have happened in the last international break. Manchester United have been heading towards that iceberg on the Titanic. And my concern is we were just going to keep going down with it whilst playing the violins, okay? What you saw at the weekend, yes, the game against West Ham. Yes, you could say, well, the West Ham game, that wasn't his fault. Fair enough. Fine. No problem. But the fact you're 14th in the Premier League, Gary Neville said it. If you're 14th in the Premier League after a couple of games, you go, hey, that's sometimes how it can happen. When you're 14th, heading into November, heading in to the festive period, heading into the time, the clocks have turned back, the season has started to settle now. As a Manchester United manager, that is not acceptable. There have to be standards, and there has to be a point where people were looking at Ineos, people were looking at them and saying, how long are you going to tolerate it for? And the question was, and the answer rather was to that is not very long, because they have decided to part ways. Now, I think the interesting part of this also is that would Manchester United, would Ineos, would the football leadership structure make this decision without a replacement lined up? There have been rumours and rumblings, haven't there, of Xavi, of Edin Terzic, of Thomas Frank, or possibly others. Today we've heard the likes of Julian Nagelsmann be linked to the job. Maybe, just maybe, Manchester United do have that permanent replacement set up, or they believe they're very close to getting that permanent replacement. Therefore, they believe now is the time to sack Erik ten Hag, relieve him of his duties, pay the reported £17 million to buy him out of his contract, give the reins to Ruud van Nistelrooy for the, I guess, foreseeable future, for the short-term future, and then decide to get in this permanent manager. Let's get some reaction from people in the chat first, and I will call Flex. Waited for United to win the Premier League as our first super chat of this emergency live stream, says freedom with the super chat there as well. Right, let's call Flex to see what he says, because again, this is a story that has developed very, very, very quickly. Flex, you're live on your own channel. Thoughts? Erik ten Hag has been sacked by Manchester United. I know you're driving at the moment. I don't know if you've seen the actual statement the club has put out or anything like that. Yeah, it's good. Insight. You're back.
Yes.
You're back. There you go.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. As I was saying this morning, we'll see you at the red carpet because nothing will happen today. We have to say, although we wanted this to happen, it is still a bit of a shock how quickly this is just bang. Next morning, he's just gone, and it broke really quickly. Like it wasn't drawn out like it might. There's discussions.
Well, it was weird, wasn't it? Because there was I was just sort of saying there was literally. I would conservatively say maybe like 2 minutes of they're thinking about it, and then it was no, he's gone.
Yeah,
it was that quick.
He's gone. Had to happen. Finally, Ineos have made this decision. They shouldn't even have waited until this long. They should have done it in the last international break, because basically all we've done now is go through that international break when we could all see what was going to happen, and it did happen, and we had to play 3 extra games for no reason, when they could have been planning. Now, to be honest though, it'll be interesting to see how quickly they recruit a new manager, because if that's fairly quick, then actually we have to probably give them the benefit that in the last international break they were probably planning that too.
Well, that's what I was just sort of saying. It may be, that I was saying to you yesterday, that theory about maybe again that last international break they weren't ready. They've now spent the next several weeks getting ready. Yesterday forces their hand, but by what they're saying in their statement, it would suggest to me that the idea of Ruud van Nistelrooy being the interim head coach for the rest of the season does not look like that's the case. It looks like they're looking to get someone in fairly quickly, and maybe it is a Xavi, maybe it is a Terzic, maybe it is a Nagelsmann's been linked. Maybe they've got the kind of interest that they maybe didn't have a couple of weeks ago, and that's why they've now come to this decision.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm looking at it now thinking, okay, we're angry at that, and I'm trying to take it into context here. We're annoyed that they didn't strike sooner, but actually, when you think of it, the fact that they've struck so quickly this morning with no leaks or nothing, essentially, and like you said, that wording of that statement isn't. They would just say if they didn't have someone ready, they would say Ruud van Nistelrooy would just be the thing to the end of the season until a new manager is appointed. But they've left it open, i.e. they're trying to find that person now, and they want them to come into situ now. So, look, the final straw that broke the camel's back is the players' fault. The players were disgusting yesterday, and they basically made that result. If we'd have won today, we wouldn't have got sacked today. It's as simple as that. Yeah. It's because we lost yesterday. And the way we lost yesterday was on the players. That was their fault. So the final nail in the coffin was put in by the players. Yeah. However, the overall responsibility for a team being 14th isn't one isolated game. We said this morning. This has been going on for ages. We've broke every metric going, every record going. And for the people that were hanging on being positive and telling us don't be negative and you're too toxic, why? There's your answer. Argue with Ineos now, mate. Argue with Ineos now, because they're the ones who are making the decisions, and they're the ones who have made that decision based on all of the evidence, mate. This isn't a knee jerk. Ineos have actually had to put cast a pie on their face, by the way, because they've gone in the summer and made him dance to the tune of over £200 million. Well, to back him.
Someone says it in the chat there, and it's true in the sense of VAR, and the players may have cost him his job. But his job was gone a long time ago, basically.
It was gone a long time. He's been in there for too long.
It was the final nail in the coffin, but he was already dead and pretty much buried at that point, And
100%.
Just as a bit of an update, because obviously when these things happen, when we go live, obviously all the journalists start getting in. Mike Keegan's just tweeted saying something similar to what I saw Stephen Railston from the Manchester Evening News say, which is, those within Old Trafford say Ten Hag decision was a difficult one, but unanimous. No momentum, no progress. Club took into account the poor start in the Premier League and the Europa League, could find no excuses. Put simply, they were just not seeing improvement, which is basically what we've all been saying as fans here, where it's going, the excuses of last season aren't here anymore. We're not moving forward. We're losing more than we're winning. And when you're trying to sort of ask around, going, right, can anyone explain this? And you can't really come up with any bigger explanations than why it's just not working. Then it leaves them with no choice, basically. What are they to do?
No choice, exactly. Absolutely no choice with what they was able to do. And I'm not going to do the revisionism and try and jump on a ship that I wasn't on, in terms of this has come a whole year too late. They should have done this in the summer. No, where I was at in the summer was very clear. Everyone knew where I was at. I said, I think he gets a chance to turn it round. And if he doesn't prove he can turn it round, then he should be sacked. And then, look how the season panned out. So I'm not going to say that this should have happened in the summer after the FA Cup. In hindsight, yes, but I wasn't in that camp, so I'm not going to say that now. I do think, though, this is... When was that Spurs game? 4 weeks ago? 5 weeks ago now? I don't know how long...
Yeah.
For me, on my own and everyone's got different timelines. In my own personal timeline, this has happened 4 weeks too late, in my personal opinion. Obviously, there's a lot of people for after the FA Cup. They're going to be completely able to say, I said this from the summer, thank you for the FA Cup, but see you later. You've now wasted from May to now. How many months is that? 5? 6, something like that. I don't know.
It's certainly the start of the season, where we are now.
Start of the season. So some people can say, from August, we should never have started the season with this manager. And on your own personal timelines, guys, in the chat, in the comments, everyone's going to do that. Everyone jumps ship at different times. It's not about that. For me personally, this has come 4 to 5 weeks too late, because after we got smashed by Spurs at home 3-0, red card or not red card, when Eric was like, I've actually X'd that game off as well. I don't count that. Yeah. Well, guess what? It counts. And we said this morning, just because we got done over by VAR yesterday, you can't wipe it away from the record, mate. We've got Leicester, Ipswich, Wolves and Palace on our tails.
And also, Flex, it kind of also, when there was a lot of criticism of that meeting during the international break, they didn't even discuss Ten Hag. It would appear now that they absolutely did. They absolutely did, and was like, right, maybe we need to do some succession planning. And what if this gets worse? What do we do? Well, if it continues to get worse, then we'll get rid of him. And that's what's happening.
And it did. Yeah, a shit draw against Fenerbahce, let's be honest. We're winning the game, and look what goes on to happen in that game. And we should have lost that game, really, on the basis of the chances. A decent... look, a semi-good win against Brentford. We celebrated it for the 90 minutes, but then next week again you lose and you're back in 14th. Yeah. So there is nobody that can say, oh, what's the point? Now we've got to start the process again. And wake up and smell the coffee, mate. Yes, we do have to start the process again, because this process was shit. It didn't work. Yeah, that's it. There's no, and the next manager who comes in, if after 2 years there's been no improvement and we're still stagnating, he will get sacked.
Well, I've also seen this one today, and I really push back on this when people say, well, if someone comes in or under Rude, it's the same players, but they start winning games, then I'm going to be looking at the players because I'll be like, see, you could have done it. And you go, well, that's a very simplistic way to look at it, because let's say, all right, Ruud van Nistelrooy, let's say he does beat Chelsea at the weekend, yeah? But his management of the players, his tactical, actually, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, or just the general, again, handling of the players will probably be different to Ten Hag. So if he did it differently and he got different results, how is that necessarily then going like, oh, the players down tools for Eric Ten Hag? Because I don't think the difference between Ten Hag and other Man United managers is I don't think we could look at many performances we go, I tell you what, the players weren't playing for Eric. Because they were. But what his tactical setup was, it wasn't working. And if someone else comes in with different ideas, with this same group of players, I think they'll probably do better. The problem is, the better is, would that be us competing for the top 4? Would that just be getting us into the top half? Because that's how low we are at the moment.
Exactly. Right now, this is where you do, though, and we have to look at this, right? The season is still salvageable only because this is where, because you've made a change to stop the rut, there's a chance that bringing in someone who knows what they're doing can claw back a gap to the top 4 of 6, 7 points. It is only November. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That is true. That is true. And that is why they have to act now. That's why we were all frustrated saying, look, I know it does feel like top 4's gone anyway, because you go, who's going to score and stuff like that. But this is where the people who've gone, well, you can't fully judge the players and fully judge, because when a new manager comes in and has different ideas, different principles, the confidence goes up, and all of a sudden things change very quickly. We've seen it happen with all the other, since Unai Emery, who's come into to Aston Villa, taken control of them when they were in the bottom 3 or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah. At the end of the day, he knew what he was doing, put a plan in with the same players, and got them into 7th that year. Yeah. From 17th. Yeah. So if that, you can't discard that. If somebody comes in with a clear plan and gets everyone singing off the same hymn sheet, whether it's temporary or not, and it's only 7 points off top 4, it can be salvaged. The pushback is, it can't be salvaged with this guy. You can't keep this guy in and say, it's only 7 points. No, this is the 3rd year, mate. Yeah. This is the 3rd year. So if someone new, you have to subscribe to the theory that improvement can happen. You have to. Yeah. Until it doesn't, you have to, because it's a fresh start.
Yeah, and again, I don't think we should be operating out of fear of, what if the next manager comes in and it doesn't work out? Then then it doesn't work out. This is the whole thing of when people go, "Well, you're just repeating the cycle." Like that's football. That's life. Is you keep trying to find solutions until you find the right one. Unfortunately for Erik ten Hag, he was not the right solution. We thought it would be. No, I don't. A very, very, very small minority of people when he came in would have been like, he's not going to succeed. Everyone wanted him to succeed. As is the case of whoever the next manager is, they'll want him to succeed, right? But until if they don't, then you'll find someone else. That's how football works,
That's how it works.
That's how it's worked for Manchester United in the past, Prior to getting to Sir Alex, you go through managers until you find the right one. It's the same as look at any top manager in the Premier League or top club in the Premier League. They go through the managers till they find the right one. It wasn't working out for Erik ten Hag, and as we've said before, you can't rely on just we've got a couple of domestic trophies to bail you out of being 14th in the league. It just cannot. It cannot work like that.
And that's it. When people fall back on that, and not just people, Eric himself kept saying, listen, 2 trophies and judge us at the end. I will be there with more trophies. Mate, over 38 games in the Premier League. That's your bread and butter. That shows truly how good you are. Not a one-off game against Liverpool when the stakes are high and it's knockout football. Not a one-off game in the final against City. And again, these things are positive. Of course, winning trophies is positive. Like I said, as a Man United fan and as Man United fans, we will remember the day we went to Wembley and beat Manchester City in the derby. We will remember that.
Yeah.
And we thank him for that. Thank you. Giving me a positive memory as a Man United fan. But at the cost of that is record amounts of defeats, record amounts of goals scored, or not goals scored, record amount of goals conceded, record amount of away losses, record amounts of losses or no wins in Europe. It's come at the cost of breaking every single metric that makes you a good team. And we can't, and we're starting to normalise that, this gigantic football institution of Man United, right, that it's okay to be a cup team. When can you normalise that? Yeah. It's all right. Don't worry about finishing 7th or 8th. We'll have difficult times, but I tell you what, we're in the Europa League. It's not even the fucking Champions League.
And also, you would say about again, this is not a reflection of like Erik ten Hag as he's a bad coach or a bad manager by any stretch of the imagination. I have no doubts that Erik ten Hag will probably go elsewhere, and he probably will continue to be successful wherever he goes. I'm sure. Sometimes it don't work out. It ain't worked out at Manchester United.
Yeah.
Hoped it would. It wasn't. Whether his tactics are suited to the Premier League, whether he's the latest in a long line of people that came to a job that was too big for him, the pressure was too big, or he wasn't the right fit, it hasn't worked out for him. It doesn't mean that he's a bad manager in the same way that Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, they're all terrible managers. They've never achieved anything. Absolutely not. But it hasn't worked out. Like, it just hasn't. As far as, people coming in next, the suggestion online at the moment from some is that possibly United might try their luck to go towards a Julian Nagelsmann. Obviously, it'd be difficult to get him away from the German national team with it being a World Cup in a couple of years.
They can't get him.
Carve's apparently on Sky saying that Ruben Amorim would cost a lot of money for the club, but that's not to say it's impossible. It would cost a lot of money, and of course, would he be willing to go to the end of the season?
It's going to cost a lot as well.
Other people that have been linked, of course, in the past. Eden Terzic, he's out of work at the moment. Is he the right person for the next couple of years? Yeah. Maybe not.
We can't overlook Thomas Frank as well, mate.
Thomas Frank. I mean, the one that does have seemingly some legs over the last couple of weeks is the Xavi Hernandez one, considering the Omar Barada links. They've been in Barcelona recently for the Ineos sailing stuff. Would he be? How do you feel about that? Considering we're seeing how good Barcelona are at the moment, and people are saying, look what's happened post Xavi, would it be right for United to get the person that couldn't get that out of them, but he did win a La Liga there?
Well, the Xavi one always just feels a little bit off. I can't explain, man. I just don't know what he'd be like in this. I don't know. I honestly, my honest opinion on that is I'm not sure. I wouldn't write it off, but it doesn't feel like the right appointment.
Well, I saw something people they were saying that Xavi struggled with the media pressure of being in that seat at Barcelona, and you would go, and to be fair, that is something that Pep Guardiola has said. I mean, he took a sabbatical after being the Barca manager, being like, it's so much, but would you then go to become the Manchester United manager, where it's like that scrutiny? Oh yeah, it's exactly the same, if not worse.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly. I mean, he definitely won't be scared of the pressure, like you said, in that Barcelona hot seat. That's not easy, and Barcelona are in an absolute just like shit show, gone. But I'm just, you know what it is, because it'll be Xavi's first job, well, second really, because I know he was in Qatar before that. But it's his no disrespect to the Qatari league, but it'll be his first like proper job outside of his own surroundings in Barca. Like, he is Barca. Like, you know what I mean?
He knows it.
And he was afforded a lot of luxuries as well, because obviously he's a Barca legend, and he won the league, got them into the Champions League first time when they were like 7th from then. Like, he did do a good job, and then obviously with how bad it got there, they had to change it, and then now look at them, they're basically the best team in Europe. But that just shows how good Hansi Flick is. I don't know. The Xavi one, I'm not sure. The one I can't shake off out of fear is Graham Potter. That they could have put him in already, though, couldn't they?
But if it was an interim thing, you know what I mean? If it was interim, then I'd go, well, I can kind of see that. I mean, the fact that if they... This is the other part of it as well, isn't it? Because the suggestion is that they're gonna give it a go and see what Nagelsmann says. Basically, that's what their sort of the suggestion is online at the moment, is they're gonna see what he says. Now, I think most people are like, well, World Cup's not that far away. It's a couple of years. It's a very big World Cup as well, being in North America. Quite a few actually sort of club managers are managing national teams at the moment, aren't they? Tuchel, Nagelsmann, etc. Would he forgo leading his country to the World Cup to manage Manchester United?
I'm not sure, and that's the thing. I'm not sure. I can't see that happening. It's really difficult to predict like who that manager would be. Normally, it felt like there's like an obvious candidate. And I'm not going to lie, I know they've decided against it, and there's no point going over spilt milk. But I'm even more angry now. Because they've sacked him so close to Tuchel getting that England job. I just think you just missed the boat. Now, look, Ineos have decided they've gone. They obviously don't want him. They couldn't have got him in the summer. Couldn't reach an agreement. He turned us down. However you want to call it, cool. But I just think you've missed it. You've missed a trick there. But to be fair, I've got to get out of that. Like, there's no point talking about it, I suppose, because it's gone. It's done now. But I just feel like you were just there, and you only sacked Eric like 2 weeks after he got the England job anyway. So, but they obviously decided they don't want. And now we do have to trust in Ineos. One thing we have to say is this: they've had their first major fuck up, which was backing Eric in the summer, and deciding that they wanted to go in the right way. And look, they put out all the press releases, didn't they? They put out all the, we're behind him and we're going to do this and we're going to back him and this, that. But we always said, don't get angry at Ineos saying that. They have to back their guys that made their choices, but results are what determine everything.
Well, and also as well, we were saying about, with all of these people being brought in, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, and the question was, is Eric ten Hag part of that team? You know what I mean? Yeah. Because the structure's changed so much, because it felt like that was the last bit of the old guard, the Murto, the Arnolds, etc. And this was part of the new guard, wasn't it, of like Wilcox, Barada, Ashworth, Favell. Who is that person that they want to put in, who would likely, by the way, not be a manager, would be the head coach now? Yeah. They would come in. Who would the person be to come in and be the head coach as part of that new football leadership team? Is it going to be someone that we didn't think? Is it going to be someone that, we didn't think that was going to work, but they're not even really going to be what Eric was. They're going to be a head coach, and it's going to be much more delegated, etc., etc. That's the question.
Yeah, exactly. Look, they got to get this appointment right. They need to. I think that legwork has been done. I think with that statement, legwork has been done. In national break just gone. There's no way they weren't thinking about it. That meeting where we all thought he was going to get sacked and this, that, and the other. Okay, he didn't. They didn't say anything. They didn't come out and say he's still our manager. They just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
There's no way. The fact they've sacked him this quickly and said he will be and Ruud will be the interim until the head coach is recruited. They are saying when Ollie got sacked. I know it's different people running the ship now, but when Jose got sacked, did they say this is Ollie to the end of the season first, or did they say
It was
on
very
his
quick.
interim.
If I recall correctly, and the chat might know better, but it was Jose sacked, and then I think it was we're going to appoint an interim to the end of the season, or an interim, and then it was like, oh, it's Ollie, but people kind of knew it was Ollie. But I think they always said it was to the end of the season. I think,
Right.
or was it till like January? It might have been till like January or something like that.
I can't remember, because then when the results started getting good, then they gave him the job. Well, I'm live on the channel now.
It was. I think it was like. Yeah, I want to say it was to like January, because because like Skiliana says in the chat, we loaned him from Mulder, and then it was like because it was going well in January, if I recall.
They decided.
Then they were
that
like,
we'll just
then they were like,
give him
oh,
the
it's
job.
going to be till the end of the season, and then it was like, oh, now he's going to be here permanent.
So they just kept, as it got better and better and better, they kept changing.
I think so.
Now,
Yeah.
Important. Ineos can't afford to get emotionally into that, because here's the hard thing. I don't want us to do that to Ruud van Nistelrooy. I want us to go and get a manager for the project that's got a bit more experience than Ruud. I know I say I'm open to different things, and you can't say it's impossible that Ruud could be ready and he's all what we needed this whole time. You never know. It'd be an amazing story. But it feels off. But again, we're scarred from the Ollie thing, though, to be fair. Because how do we not know that Ruud's not going to be good enough? And the problem is now, if there's a sudden shift, you kind of need to let him be there long enough to see, well, is that just a new bounce, or is this actually real?
Is the weird one, isn't it? Because you think, but look at Michael Carrick here. People point this out all the time. He got really good results in
It was like 3 games.
He beat. What did he do? He beat Arsenal. He drew with Chelsea, and he beat Villarreal away in the Champions League.
Yeah,
now, at the moment, and I know the teams were very, very different at the time, but at the moment, if we had that, we go bloody hell. Like that's not bad, is it? So like you look to the games moving up, you go, well, Leicester on Wednesday. You would expect United, even with Eric still here, you would have gone, well, I think we'll win that one.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But then if we do get a result against Chelsea at the weekend at home, and maybe again that was also Ineos' concern of like, we cannot have another home game where we lose like 4-0.
No, you can't. But guess what though? We can now if you got Ruud. And I know that sounds defeatist, but like I've always stuck by this, like if you put Ruud in just for a little bit, it just takes the pressure off, because now, especially in this little period, obviously if we get spanked by Chelsea we'll be angry, but the overall thing of it is you can't blame Ten Hag because he's not there. You say they're actually trying to get us a new manager. It's chaos there right now. You've got a mixture of Ruud's principles, who's been there with Eric the whole time, the whole coaching staff is there. How much is he going to change? How much will the players have confidence? How much will they still be little shitbags where they play shit as well? Like, we could still lose against Chelsea. Let's not paint a different picture. Yes, new manager bounce is very sort of obvious in football, but it doesn't always happen. You know, we're still in free fall. We still don't know our arse from our elbows.
Right,
and this team has been
still
coached.
Have the Freddie Youngberg thing, couldn't you? Where he went in there and nothing happened.
It's just what I'm saying. It's like, no, fucking, I'm struggling here. I'm just waiting for them to hurry up and get this manager.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying Ruud. Ruud, I think, is definitely a stronger candidate than Freddie Ljungberg. Freddie Ljungberg at the time really was. I think he was just a coach. I don't even think he even managed before. He's just thrown in. But exactly that though, you can get that. It's like, you know, Lee Carsley. I know it's like. He's like, oh, they're looking for someone else. It's not really me. You know, you're just getting by. And Chelsea coming in this type of form, playing this well with Cole Palmer doing what he's doing, we can lose that on any day.
Yeah, but it feels like
also,
so on the flip side, maybe our chances of winning it have gone up because it can't.
100%. Because it can't. 100%. Our chances of winning that game have definitely gone up, because rolling us out to do the same thing, expecting something different from Eric and the tactics and the players in a week's time, was just never going to happen.
Yeah. A couple of super chats here. A gamer says, get the F in, Owen, gone and we move. Keegan's been a member for 28 months. Says, sad to see the manager leave. Like many, I want to see him succeed. I wish him the best. WJ Barrett says, I'm buzzing about this news. Ineos had a plan and they played their next move. No one had a clue this was happening today. Let's rejoice and be happy. That is also another part of it, is that, once again, Ineos do not do leaks. They don't, because that caught people out quite a lot today. Another one here says, after weeks and weeks of trying, Dallo finally got his wish. He got Ten Hag sacked. Went out of his way to miss an empty net and didn't track his rudder for the goal. United Love says, bring us big sound to keep us up. Thank God he's gone. Season starts now. Let's go. Still can't stand the player's mentality, but it was untenable with Eric. So those are some super chats there. Any final thoughts, Flex?
Just go and get us the right manager. We can get a little bit of calm now. Let's be patient with Ineos. choosing the right manager, because right now we don't want them to rush and get the wrong option. We've all got what we've needed to see, which is Ten Hag to leave. It's the right decision, and now it's about we need to make the right appointment. And obviously, yes, we do need to get behind it, whoever it is, and then be patient again. And the process does start again, open-minded. You wait and see how things pan out. There are still players I've still maintained many times. Doesn't matter who the manager is. I still think there's some players there that we've got that ain't as good as we think. And we have to tackle that. But this is where we do have to get behind the Ineos thing and be like, right, they're here for the long run. They've been ruthless. They've taken him out of post. 5 weeks too late, in my opinion. Cool. But he's gone now, and now it's about looking forward.
Yeah, about looking forward.
Agree on that.
There you go. Well, Flex will be on the red carpet with us later on today, so I'm sure we'll get into it more then.
Yeah. All right. Later.
Cool. Peace. Wow, that is Flex's thoughts there. We'll try KG and we'll try Marcel in just a second as well, just to double check any more social media stuff going on at the moment. By the way, we've still got about 3K watching live. Let's see if we can get to 1K likes, maybe even 2K likes at the moment. If you haven't already, click the like button and be sure to subscribe. I tell you what as well, my fucking arm's killing me. Holding up that phone for ages. Oh, halfway through that call, I think I might have tore my bicep. Fucking out. Oh. But Jadid says, looks like it's Rude One football. If you are just joining us and you're like, what? You've just seen the thumbnail, you've just seen the title or something like that. Erik ten Hag indeed has been sacked by Manchester United. There were rumblings for, as I said, only a few minutes, if anything. And then an official Manchester United statement that said, Erik ten Hag has left his role as Manchester United men's first team manager. Erik was appointed in April 2022 and led the club to 2 domestic trophies, winning the Carabao Cup in 2023 and the FA Cup in 2024. We are grateful to Erik for everything he has done during his time with us and wish him well for the future. Ruud van Nistelrooy will take charge of the team as interim head coach, supported by the current coaching team, whilst a permanent head coach is recruited. And it's, of course, even there, that part when it's saying about, it's that part about him being supported by the current coaching side, it's going to be really interesting to see just what actually does happen with this coaching staff once this new person comes in. I mean, Ruud van Nistelrooy and René Hake are Erik ten Hag appointments, but certainly René Hake's got a long history with Erik ten Hag, and it's like, well, is he now going to be gone because Erik ten Hag's gone as well? Is that what we're looking at too? So we'll see any more stuff about that. Just as far as any more reasons as to why moves next, lots of people kind of getting what looks to be sort of the same response from the club, kind of off the record internally. Basically what would have happened right now is a lot of journalists would have been messaging their contacts within Manchester United, and essentially the thing that they're saying is that Man United would have wanted continuity. They didn't want to sack Erik ten Hag, but it was a collective, it was a unanimous decision to get rid of the former Manchester United manager. Manchester United wanted to give Erik ten Hag the chance to work in the new sporting structure. This has come from Ben Jacobs, but there was an acceptance. Results and performances haven't been good enough, prompting a mid-season change. Ruud van Nistelrooy is a short-term appointment while the search for a permanent head coach continues. Keyword, their head coach. The next person that comes in will not be the Manchester United manager. They'll be the first ever Manchester United head coach, seemingly, in this new hierarchy at Manchester United. Van Nistelrooy has met with and impressed Manchester United's leadership team on multiple occasions. A caretaker role was always likely if a mid-season change was made. Indeed, that mid-season change has been made as well. Right, let's see if we can get some more reaction. Let's see if I can get a Marcel on the phone. See what he said. Actually, well, let's try KG first. I don't even know where KG is today as well. He might be doing something, or he might be live, knowing him. Doesn't sound positive, does it? This would be typical KG, by the way. He won't even know Erik's been sacked. He won't even know. He'll be like, I don't know. What's happened? What's that? KG's on set. Oh, well, that makes sense. Right, let's try Marcel. See what he says. No one wants to answer their phone, is it? no one wants to answer their phone, apparently. Well, I'm sure they'll call back. I'm sure they'll call back. As far as Marcel, actually, Marcel, yeah, I saw him tweeting some pretty wild stuff, because I saw him in the comments this morning. Saying, because I used the Titanic analogy, and he said, I want to go down with the Titanic, basically. I'm going down. But then I also thought I saw Marcel saying, about that Erik Ten Hag's time was done, all that kind of stuff. Some are suggesting that what Marcel... actually, no, it's got a minute. Right, that explains it. Marcel, at the moment, he's just...
He's crying in his car!
That's where he was. Can't answer at the moment. Can't answer. But he sent a voice note. Let me just patch this through. I connect that. This is the voice note Marcel has just sent me. All right, that does make sense. Okay, that's fine. What he has said on Twitter is about links to Julian Nagelsmann. He said, finally, this is the manager we need. And he also says, dear new manager, good luck. Please bring me an attacking style of football. I'll be patient. PS, trust the process. I wonder, this is an interesting one as well. What's that guy called? Ten Hag era. What's he said at the moment? Fucking hell. He's put a picture of Ten Hag in black and white. He's not dead. He's alive. Like, he is. He's not. It's full on in mourning. There's a full on picture of him in black and white. I thought we'd go to a funeral. My word. There's a lot of people concerned about their accounts at the moment going, I got to change some handles. As far as what the odds are for new managers, so the next, I guess, permanent manager odds, Ruud van Nistelrooy is the highest, because I guess it's a thinking of, if he does well, he might get it on a permanent situation, permanent role. Next people that are the people with the highest odds or lowest odds, how you want to look at it. Ruben Amorim is second in terms of the bookies at 3-1. Could be the next Manchester United manager, which I'd be open to that appointment. I know people will say, oh no, Amorim wouldn't work, this, that and the other, plays a back three. But again, I don't think Manchester United, I'd rather we get away. I'd rather we get away from 4-2-3-1. We have played 4-2-3-1 at this point for how many years? Like what? 5, 6 years, longer than that. So if we did switch to like a back three or whatever, good. I wanted to see something different. I wanted to see something new. And with the players that we've got actually at the moment as well, Lenny Yoro coming back, go to a back three. Have De Ligt, Martinez, Yoro, wing backs in Mazraoui, Dalot, and buy a fucking new left back or something like that. And also, I just want to see, whatever the formation is, a style of play that's consistent, that we're seeing is gradually improving and getting better. I want to see, some kind of situation where we can not just pass the ball all over the place, and give it away all the time. I want to just see us, do something different and show at least some signs of progression. Not 1 step forward, 5 steps backwards, and then be focusing on the 1 step forward as opposed to the 5 steps back that we've done and continue going down the league. That's what we've got to do. Super chat here. A couple of super chats here. Jadine says, looks like it's Rude 1 football. LOL. VK says, no interim, new manager incoming, back to ground zero. Ken says, someone check on Marcel. Chidi says, how long till we turn on the next manager? 1 year. Oh, look, obviously, Chidi, I'm assuming that, when it comes to, Erik Ten Hag, you're an Erik Ten Hag backer. I don't know. You know what happens when you assume. But this whole thing of, well, you'll turn on the next manager, you'll do this. Well, if the next manager gets us to 14th in the league, then yes, inevitably they will. Erik Ten Hag said it himself before the Fenerbahce game. His pre-match press conference, go and see it. Go and see it. He said, if you don't pick up victories, if you don't win in professional football, top flight football, professional football is about getting results, right? And if you don't get results, you're under pressure. So whoever the next manager is, they will get the same chance that Erik Ten Hag got, which is 2 and a bit seasons, and you've got to show some progression. You'll be backed financially. You'll be given money. You'll be given your players. And if you don't deliver in terms of results in the league, as well as domestic trophies, sure, but in the league, if you're in 14th, heading in to November, you're probably going to get sacked, because that's not a Manchester United vicious cycle thing. That's not a woe is me, Ten Hag has been wrong thing. That is a football thing. That is how it works, right? Whoever the next manager is. If it's Julian Nagelsmann, say Nagelsmann comes in, right? And 2 years in, he is 14th, he will get sacked. Anyone would. Anyone would. If you've done your worst start to a Premier League season ever, ever, and you are losing more than you're winning, and you can only score 5 or 6 goals in the Premier League, then you will get sacked. That is what is going to happen. Factual. Anyone. It would have happened with, let's say, Arne Slot, right? If they were 14th right now, you do not think they'd be thinking about having a change, but he's not. Top of the league, right? That's what happened with anyone. So this isn't a vicious cycle thing. This isn't a your turn on the next one, blah, blah, blah. If they continuously win, or they show signs of improvement, they show signs of progression, they'll get given a chance. Because, of course, you cannot say Erik ten Hag hasn't been given a chance. Of course he's been given a chance. He's been given a chance for 2 and a bit seasons. He was given a chance over the summer as well. And I put myself into that one too. That was my rationale. I said, you know what? He won the FA Cup. He deserves another go at it. He had another go at it, and it didn't work out. And sometimes, and this is a life lesson as well, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And that sometimes you can learn from that, you can grow from that, but sometimes you're just not the right person for the job. That's it. Unfortunate. If you get good results, you'll probably stay in your job. That's it. And guess what? Just domestic trophies and being a bottom half side, and the table start to settle, and you're a bottom half mid-table side, you will lose your job. It's not. I mentioned this so many weeks ago. I went, it's not the gotcha that you think it is. It's not. If you think that's the gotcha, it's so not. You can say Erik ten Hag out, that's one thing, but I'm guaranteeing you in 3 years' time, you'll be in the same position saying the manager needs to go. Well, if in 3 years' time, and they've spent 600 million and they're 14th, there probably will be a lot of people turning on them, because they'll say, you're not the right person for the job either. You know, that's the thing. Chidi says, I get sacking Ten Hag at the moment. Was really talking about people wanting him gone before the season even started, just for their agendas. Well, you know what, when it comes to all of this, Chidi, yeah? And because, well, your first super chat was this, which said, how long will it turn on the next manager? 1 year. I don't think there were many people, in all fairness, turning on Erik ten Hag after 1 year in charge. They weren't. People started to turn around this sort of time last year, around sort of Christmas-ish time last year, when it was the worst start to the season ever, and the football wasn't improving, and frankly, we hadn't played well by that point since we won the Carabao Cup. And people will start to go, I don't think that's what it is. And I think what we have to learn out of this, and I put myself in this too, because I've learned out of this, yeah, is everyone is entitled to their opinion. Just in the same way that you're entitled to yours, to say that you think that people just wanted them out because they wanted to be proved right. There is a lot of point scoring in football fandom nowadays, and it's rubbish. I don't like it. But at the same time, what we can't do, I think anyway, is say that you're not allowed to have that opinion just because it's different. That's where you can't do it, I think. You know, you can't, I think you think different to me. You're not allowed to think that. They are. I am, you am, we all are. People have their different cut-off points. People, like Marcel, he said, I'm going down with the Titanic, I'm going down with the ship. Fair enough. There are people that are like, I saw enough after 18 months, that was it. Fair enough. There were some people like KG said, no, after that Tottenham game, that was it was done. Fair enough. Everyone's got their own breaking point. Everyone's got their own limits. Doesn't make you less of a fan. Doesn't make you more of a fan. Doesn't make you, you're not a real fan. This is how you support the club. No. Ultimately, Manchester United, I think, have come to the right decision. And if Marcel is gone down with the ship, then it's not good, actually, is it? Because he's underwater at the moment, isn't he? He's underwater, and maybe that's why we can't contact him, because he's drowned. That's why, that's where it is. So, yeah, as for what's next, well, I think it's interesting. 2 games this week with Rude, definitely. it's going to be interesting to see if there's anyone actually in the stands come Sunday. Of course, nothing will happen, I think, before Wednesday. We've got that Carabao Cup game against Leicester, and suddenly that game becomes a lot more interesting. I don't think anyone was really looking forward to it all that much, were they? But now it's like, well, Ruud's in. What's he going to do? And what's he going to say? I mean, sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't a press conference for Carabao Cup games. I think he'll definitely have one, Ruud. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles the media. I'm fascinated just to see that in general, right? How is Ruud going to handle the media? Because frankly, Eric's handling of a very ravenous media, and I always describe that press room as a nest of vipers, and a bunch of bitter bastards. Is Ruud going to handle it better? He probably, and this isn't necessarily the fairest thing on Erik ten Hag, he'd probably get a bit more leeway because he's liked more. So those press conferences might be a bit more palatable to some, and he might get some better press, Ruud van Nistelrooy. And he does have seemingly a bit more charisma and a better ability to speak to the media. But I don't know if he'll have a press conference before the game on Wednesday. And then Sunday, we might be seeing in a situation where we might see a situation where the Ruud takes the team on Sunday, but the new man, whoever that may be, might be sitting in the stands and sat next to Dan Ashworth or Sir Dave Brailsford or something like that, and overseeing the team, and maybe we'll have it as quickly as next week. I mean, it certainly would appear by the statement that Manchester United have put out, wouldn't it, that this isn't a case of Ruud to the end of the season kind of thing. It certainly would feel like that, wouldn't it? A couple more super chats here. Falcon says, whoever comes next, there's no excuses now. The hated one is gone, so we have to accept whatever comes next. Well, I think, Falcon, look, you're right, I think, to an extent. I would agree with you to an extent. What I would say with that is, whoever the next manager is, and look, hope as long as it's not Gareth Southgate, I think that they'll get the same backing that every manager has got. Let's not pretend here that Erik ten Hag didn't get backed. Let's not pretend here that Erik ten Hag hasn't been supported by fans. And whoever the next person is, I think they will get a similar amount of time to prove that they're taking Manchester United in the right direction. And I think people will get behind the new man, whoever it may be. But this whole thing about, the hated one, it's not like that. The same way that you go, well, every manager on the way out of a club, usually, and look at Manchester United, has not been roundly liked, have they? Because results haven't been going that well. So Jose Mourinho on the way out, there was a big part of the Manchester United fan base that wanted him gone because it got toxic. Same when it came to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a legend, wanted him gone. Remember, he's a Norwegian PE teacher, this, that, and the other. Erik ten Hag, he's a bold fraud, this, that, and the other. Because it gets bad, it gets toxic, and it's not Erik ten Hag wasn't hated in that regard, and I do think that as time goes by, we'll see the revisionism. Of course we will see the revision, because you see the revisionism for every manager, don't we? Under Ole, it was great when it wasn't great. Under Van Gaal, it was great when it wasn't great. Under Jose, it was great, it wasn't great. It just gets bad. So as far as Erik ten Hag being hated, I think the word hate strong. I think just the general consensus was more and more over the last several months and last season as well, that he just wasn't the right guy for the job, and it hadn't worked out. Maybe the job was too big for him, and that's life. And then whoever the next person is, that's not to say the next person who it is going to absolutely going to be a roaring success either. We still might be 2 or 3 managers away. You don't know that. You can try and hope that Ineos have the best identification possible and find the right guy, the next person, and that's it. And we don't have to get one for the next 10 years or whatever. But also, I don't think football even really, maybe outside of a few select cases, even really works like that anymore. So we shall see whoever that next person may be. If it is going to be Xavi, who I do have reservations about in terms of, like kind of Flex was saying, he did win the Liga at Barcelona, but, you look at Barcelona post-Xavi, it's looking not too bad. struggled with the pressure there. And he knows Barcelona inside out. Never managed outside of Barcelona, a big club anyway. How would that really work? People like Edin Terzic, I just don't know how that would work, really. Thomas Frank. The thing is with those, also what I would say is though, and I will maybe contradict myself a little bit here, is I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Whoever the next person is, it might be someone outside the box that we don't think is going to work, and it might. You do look at Enzo Maresca at the moment at Chelsea, still plenty of the season to go, obviously, but it was like, he's only managed, won the championship with Leicester. How good is he going to be? Chelsea playing some good stuff at the moment, aren't they? So that's when I go back to, sometimes it's just about the right fit. The right fit, the right time, right place, right players. They might not be the right players under one person, but they might be the right players under someone else. And, it works out really well. So we shall see. Of course, if we get any more information as to who the next person could be or anything like that, of course, we'll be here. I'll be here just as I was for this, and we'll go live or anything like that. As of right now, Ruud van Nistelrooy is the interim Manchester United head coach. It was time for Erik ten Hag to go. Time had run out. I felt time had run out in the last international break. He got a couple of extra games. Only won one of them against Brentford. And it was over. I think the focus shouldn't, necessarily be on yesterday, as yesterday was what got him sacked. I think Erik ten Hag was sacked a long time ago. I think that, yes, it was the final nail in the coffin, but he was dead and buried several weeks ago at this point, and there was no coming back. There was no resurrection that was going to happen. There was no turnaround that was going to happen. That's why I said I don't think it's one individual game. I didn't think it was an individual game against Villa. I didn't think it was an individual game against Porto or anything like that. It was done. So I think it was the right decision by Ineos, by Manchester United. Might be a bit late, but they did ultimately come to the right decision. As for what's next, your guess is as good as mine. Right? What we do know for sure is that it's Ruud van Nistelrooy. Just quickly, finally, Chris Wheeler has said the Manchester United players were told about Erik ten Hag sacking at the same time the official announcement was made this morning. So basically, 12 o'clock, they found out same time as anyone else. Just quite a lengthy one here from Ben Jacobs. Says Manchester United began succession planning over the summer and are well positioned to replace Erik ten Hag. Sacking described as difficult but unanimous. Sources say continuity was a big factor in ten Hag staying during a period of significant change over the summer, but poor performances and a lack of progress ultimately forced the club's hand. Ruud van Nistelrooy was a hire driven by Ten Hag rather than a Trojan horse in to replace him. Van Nistelrooy has had multiple one-on-ones with senior leadership at the club and impressed them. Interim role, something spoken about internally at the club as early as September. Despite Van Nistelrooy staying loyal to Ten Hag, Manchester United have approached several candidates, including Julian Nagelsmann and Thomas Frank. Former is a newer name connected. Latter was one of the profiles discussed over the summer. Xavi sounded out by intermediaries, but no direct contact despite suggestions of Barcelona meetings. Unclear if he would change his plan and take any job mid-season. The FA foresaw this scenario and were quick to hire Thomas Tuchel, although Manchester United sources insisted talks over the summer simply didn't advance. Graham Potter still keen on the role and was previously spoken about for Nice by Ineos, but Gareth Southgate says he won't work again for a year despite having fans within the Manchester United hierarchy. Just like Erik ten Hag and the Spurs thing, I'm just going to forget that last paragraph, otherwise I'm going to vomit. For the thought of Gareth Southgate being there. Oh my God. No, not a chance. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. A reminder, tonight, red carpet, 7 p.m. What a big show that's going to be. You're going to have Flex, KG, myself, Saeed, Adam, and Alice all talking about what is next for Manchester United after Erik ten Hag has been sacked by the club today. What now happens? Who comes in next? Ruud van Nistelrooy on the interim again. We'll be live 7 p.m. So be sure to join us for that one. That is going to be a big show. Appreciate everyone tuning in for this big breaking news update. Of course, you get anything else, I'll be here and we'll be live again. Appreciate everyone and we'll see you again later on. I'm out of here. Peace.